Zach, this is huge news. When was the decision taken? When did things really start to get Fernando over to the Indy 500?
Fernando and I started bantering about it. It's kind of, as you know, when you tell a joke, there's always a little bit of a half-truth to it. And I started with Fernando before Australia, just kind of, hey, we should do the 500 one of these days. And I was serious, but I didn't know how he'd respond. And he kind of flirted back on the topic. I'd like to do that. And so I just kind of went, all right, well, that's enough for now. And then we started bantering a little bit more. And then in Australia, he told Honda, we were having breakfast, and he said, you know, I'd really like to try and do the Indy 500 with you. You're very successful there. You won the first couple races of the year and have a tremendous amount of success. McLaren's won there 3 times, so it was certainly on our to-do list was to go back and try and be successful at Indy. And then after we brought that up in Australia, we spoke, I think it was the Monday afterwards, and we were catching up on all topics. And I said, hey, that whole Indy 500 thing, we should chat about it more. And he went, well, let's do dinner in China on Friday. And I went, okay, let's do that. And he went, no, that's what I want to talk about. And then at that point I went, well, he's pretty serious. And I wasn't sure about when. And so I said, well, let's do that. And then we traded we text each other often. And it was clear, actually he was very serious about it, but wasn't sure if it was achievable or not, and I wasn't sure. So once he did that, I called Mark Miles, the CEO of IndyCar, who this deal wouldn't have happened without, because I didn't want to start calling and making it known that McLaren, Honda, and Fernando were interested in Indy, because I thought it had such a small chance, and I didn't want the rumor out there with all that's going on. So Mark went a little top secret into, I would like him to speak with a few teams and get some information, and then got that and thought, okay, this isn't going to be easy, but it's achievable. And we went to dinner in China on Friday. Eric Boulier, myself, Fernando, and Lewis, his manager. And we spoke about it, and he had done a lot of homework, and it was clear he wanted to do it. And I said, I think we can make it happen. And then the conversation got very serious. And he said, right, let me sleep on this. And he woke up Saturday morning and said, let's do it. And then we had a bit of a eyes wide open. Wow, well, we got to do it now because he wants to do it. And we said we can do it. And went to hard work, and we knew we had a short window, and ultimately here we are. Just signed the contract yesterday. So, I mean, that's how quickly it's moving. But in motor racing, you got to move quick.
Fernando stated a few years ago now he wanted to do the 500. I remember there was a tweet from Chip Ganassi saying, anytime you want to come over, be our guest. How did you ultimately decide to run with Andretti Autosport?
We wanted to go with a team, and there's a few of them, of course. Ganassi is a fantastic team. A few Honda teams that we felt had a real chance of providing a race-winning car. Obviously, Andretti won it last year. Michael drove for McLaren, as you know. And so ultimately, when we kind of did our homework and looked at all the scenarios and what was available in the engineering and who we could do something with, Andretti came out on top as the best option. And it's an option we're very happy about. We think he's going to put out a great race car, and McLaren and Honda are going to work very closely with him. So they won't be going at it alone. And Fernando's very, very excited, as everyone at McLaren Honda is. So Indy, here we come.
But you're losing your lead driver for the Monaco Grand Prix. How difficult was it to weigh up those options, and who are you looking at to replace him?
Yeah, it was not an easy decision. Ultimately, if we were fighting for the championship, then I don't think this would have been possible. So that was one of the things that sometimes you have to seize opportunities. And if we thought we were going to go win Monaco or compromise us in the championship, then I don't think we'd be having this conversation. And when you take a step back and you now look at what McLaren, Honda, and Fernando are going to achieve this year, we're still going to have 2 cars in Monaco. So we're just not going to have one of the world's greatest drivers in Fernando Alonso in it. Stuffel's doing a great job. So very comfortable that he will continue to get the most out of the car. And then I think, we'll have a great driver alongside him. And now we've got a chance for a really good result and to create some excitement. And this is a bit of old school racing, as it should be, where the Jackie Stewarts, the Mario Andretti's, the AJ Foyts used to do multiple forms of racing. So I think while it will hurt a little bit not to have Fernando in Monaco, I think the prize for McLaren Honda and Fernando being in Indy, with a great driver to replace him for the race, I think the sum is we're much better off.
You can talk about history. McLaren and the Indy 500 go together. Is this the start of something bigger for McLaren and the Indy 500?
I'd like to see us at Indy on a regular basis. As I mentioned in the press conference, it was something that was on the really the to-do list to start thinking about for 2018. And it was only once we understood Fernando's dreams and desires, and that we could get it done, and that we're in the situation we're in competitive-wise this year, that we felt we're not walking away or compromising a championship or a race win. That you have to be entrepreneurial and move fast in the sport. And so yeah, but to answer your question, while this will be a one-off this year, McLaren as a brand has raced in multiple championships in its history, and so I'd like to see the Indy 500 always be on the calendar of McLaren Honda.
The Indy 500 is just one round, though, of a championship. Could we see McLaren moving towards IndyCar? There's a new car out for 2018, it looks.
Yeah, I think it's a little early to, this is a big task, just getting ready for this. So, never say never. But right now we're just focused on Indy, and would certainly like to continue doing Indy. It's a unique format, and it needs extra cars with the 33 cars, so it always provides an opportunity to come race. And whether we do more in IndyCar, I think it's a fantastic championship. I'd love to see us there, but it needs to make commercial sense for us, certainly with our automotive company. Selling cars around the world and doing great. There is a good reason for the McLaren brand to race around the world.
To use a modern social media idiom, you broke the internet today with this announcement. How important is this for F1 in the United States to have, as you said, one of its greatest drivers competing in the Indy 500?
I think today is a great day for Formula One. Ultimately, why everyone wants to see Fernando race is he's a two-time Formula One world champion. So I think you're going to have all the Formula One fans watching. So that's going to be great for TV ratings. And I think you're going to have all the fans in America wanting to see how the great Fernando Alonso and McLaren Honda, along with Andretti, get on in Indy. So I think this is going to be wonders for TV ratings. I think it's going to be great for IndyCar. I think it's going to be great for Formula One. It's going to be great for the fans. I can't think of downside for anyone. That's what makes it so exciting.
You know American racing well. You know the Indy 500 well. You know Fernando well. Do you think he has any idea what he's got himself into?
I think he does. I think I'm looking forward, albeit his first test. I want to see his eyes when he comes in after his first 5 laps. I think he does, but I don't think anyone knows what Indianapolis is like until you get out there. So I'm sure he's going to come in with a big grin on his face going, wow, I've never done anything like that before. But he's a very smart driver. He's already studying. He's asking me and other people questions that you can tell he's paying attention. There's 4 pace laps at the start of the race. So he's getting into the detail already. So I think being the world champion that he is, he'll be as prepared as a rookie can possibly be. But he's still inexperienced and going to be a rookie. So I'm sure he's going to have those rookie jitters. But it's going to be fun being alongside him watching.